All right, so you want to kind of decode the world of business, but maybe without the whole, MBA thing.
Mm-hmm.
This deep dive takes us straight to the personal MBA.
Okay.
We're talking actionable advice, no jargon, just pure business wisdom.
Yeah, we're really trying to give you like a blueprint for understanding how businesses actually work,
Okay.
regardless of whether you've, had any experience or not.
I love it. No fluff, just facts.
Yeah.
And speaking of facts, the book jumps right into what it calls the 5 business fundamentals.
Okay.
It claims every successful business, big or small, comes down to these 5 things.
Right.
I'm intrigued. Walk me through it.
Okay, so it basically boils down to, like, you need to create something people want.
Okay.
That's value creation.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need to tell the right people about it.
Okay.
That's marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need to be able to actually guide them to see the value in it.
Okay.
That's sales.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to make sure that you can actually deliver on what you're promising.
Mm-hmm.
That's value delivery.
Mm.
And then, of course, you need to make sure that the whole thing is financially sustainable.
Right.
That's finance.
Okay, so it's like building a house, you need a solid foundation.
Yeah.
That's the value creation.
Exactly.
Then walls and a roof, marketing and sales to
Yep.
give it structure.
Yeah.
After that, you need to make sure everything inside works.
Right.
That's the value delivery. And you can afford to keep the lights on.
Exactly.
Finance.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
Yeah.
I like that. And they all depend on each other.
Oh, where?
You can't.
Right.
You can't have one without the other.
Right.
For example, let's say you make incredible handcrafted furniture.
Okay.
That's your value creation.
Mm-hmm.
But if you don't market it effectively, no one's going to know about it
Yeah.
to even buy it.
Right. You could have the most beautiful furniture in the world, but if it's hidden away in your basement workshop,
Exactly.
it's not doing anyone any good.
Exactly.
And this probable purchaser concept that really resonated with me,
Yeah.
it's not about appealing to everyone, right?
No, not at all.
It's about finding that niche audience that really connects with your offering.
Exactly. Think about a company like Tesla.
Okay.
They're not trying to sell everyone a car.
Right.
They're targeting a very specific type of consumer.
Totally.
Someone who is tech savvy,
Mm-hmm.
environmentally conscious,
Right.
and looking for a high-performance vehicle.
And those funky Vibram 5-finger shoes.
What?
Remember those?
Yeah.
Talk about niche.
Yeah.
They're definitely not for everyone.
All right.
But for their probable purchaser, someone who values natural movement,
Yeah.
minimalist approach to footwear,
Totally.
they're perfect.
Exactly.
Speaking of perfect, let's talk about making those sales.
Okay.
This is where it gets interesting to me.
Yeah.
The personal MBA challenges the stereotype of the pushy salesperson.
Yeah. I think they do a good job of that.
It emphasizes education-based selling, which is less about pushing and more about guiding.
Exactly.
So instead of that high-pressure sales pitch,
Yeah.
it's about educating your prospects, building trust, and
Yeah.
letting them arrive at the decision that's right for them.
Precisely. Imagine you're buying a new laptop.
Okay.
Would you rather be bombarded with, like, technical jargon and
Wow.
pressured into a sale?
Yeah.
Or would you prefer a salesperson that takes the time to understand your needs,
Yeah.
explain things clearly, and helps you make an informed decision?
Honestly, the latter all the way.
Right.
Nobody wants to feel like they're being sold to.
Yeah.
So we've covered creating something valuable,
Mhm.
finding the right audience,
Right.
and selling it ethically.
Yeah.
That brings us to value delivery,
Okay.
which I think is often overlooked.
You're right. It's so important to deliver on your promises.
Yeah.
And I think the book does a good job at diving into streamlining that process,
Okay.
emphasizing efficiency, exceeding expectations. Think of it like a restaurant.
Okay.
You might have the tastiest food in town, but if the
Mhm.
service is terrible,
Yeah.
people aren't going to come back.
Ouch. Yeah, I've totally had that experience.
Yeah.
A great product with lousy service is just frustrating.
Totally.
Now, for the final piece of the puzzle finance,
Okay.
I'll be honest, this is the part that usually makes my eyes glaze over a little bit.
I hear you. But the personal MBA
Mhm.
approaches it in a very human way.
Okay.
It's not just about crunching numbers.
Mm-hmm.
It's about understanding this concept of sufficiency.
Okay.
Imagine having a business that provides enough income to cover your expenses,
Mm-hmm.
pursue your passions,
Okay.
and live comfortably
Mm-hmm.
without this constant pressure to, like, maximize profits.
Right.
That's the essence of sufficiency.
That's such a liberating concept.
Yeah.
It's not about being the next billion-dollar unicorn.
Right.
It's about creating a business that supports the life you want to live.
Exactly.
I dig it.
Yeah.
So we've covered the 5 fundamentals. Creating value, marketing it strategically, selling with integrity,
Hmm.
ensuring seamless delivery, and maintaining financial stability.
Yeah.
This is basically the bedrock of any successful business.
It is.
But
Yeah.
the book doesn't stop there, does it?
No, it goes even deeper.
Okay.
By introducing this idea of mental models,
Okay.
think of them as like the operating system that's
Mhm.
running in the background of your mind.
Okay.
They shape how you see the world,
Mm-hmm.
how you interpret information,
Okay.
and ultimately how you make decisions.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Okay.
Mental models. They sound a bit like those unconscious biases we hear about.
They're similar in the
Yeah.
sense that they operate beneath the surface,
Right.
influencing our thoughts and actions without us even realizing it.
Yeah.
But the good news is
Yeah.
we can become aware of them
Mm-hmm.
and we can reprogram them for greater success.
So how do these mental models play into the business world? Give me an example.
Well, a common misconception is that you need a massive, complex business plan
Right.
before you even think about starting a business.
Yeah.
And that's a mental model.
Yeah.
Okay. That can really hold people back.
Right. You get stuck in analysis paralysis,
That's
spending
right.
months on a business plan that might be outdated before you even launch.
Exactly. The personal MBA challenges that,
Okay.
and it encourages a more agile approach,
Mm-hmm.
emphasizing the power of iteration.
Okay.
Instead of betting everything on one big idea,
Right.
you start small, you test your assumptions,
Yeah, okay.
you learn from your mistakes,
Yeah.
and you adapt quickly.
So it's about embracing those small failures as stepping stones
Exactly.
to success.
Yep.
Constantly iterating and improving along the way.
Yeah,
That makes a lot of sense in today's fast-paced world.
it does. It's really the name of the game these days.
Yeah.
And it's not just about business.
Okay.
This iterative mindset can be applied to any area of life.
Right.
Think about learning a new language or
Right.
mastering a musical instrument.
Right.
You don't become fluent or a virtuoso overnight.
Right.
It takes consistent practice,
Mm-hmm.
learning from your mistakes,
Right.
and constantly refining your skills.
I love that. So ditch the 100-page business plan.
Yeah.
Embrace the power of iteration.
Mhm.
And remember, even Mozart didn't start composing masterpieces on day one.
Exactly.
But the personal MBA doesn't just focus on the external world of business, does it?
No, it doesn't.
It also dives into the importance of working effectively with yourself.
It does, and it argues that mastering yourself is crucial for business success.
That's a really interesting perspective. So how does the personal MBA help you become a better you in the context of business?
Hmm.
What are some of the key takeaways there?
One fascinating concept is this idea of achieving a monoidal state of focus.
Okay.
This means training your mind to focus on a single task
Mm-hmm.
with laser-like concentration.
Okay.
We're talking about tapping into a flow state where you're completely absorbed in the present moment,
Right.
free from distractions.
Easier said than done in our world of constant notifications and buzzing devices.
You're telling me.
I feel like my attention span is shrinking by the day.
I hear you. That's why the personal MBA emphasizes the importance of creating an environment
Okay.
that supports focus.
Mm-hmm.
This could mean finding a quiet workspace,
Mm-hmm.
minimizing distractions,
Right.
setting clear boundaries with technology,
Right.
or utilizing techniques like the Pomodoro technique.
The Pomodoro technique, tell me more about that.
Yeah, so the Pomodoro technique, it's a simple but effective time management method
Okay.
where you work in focused 25-minute intervals
Mm-hmm.
separated by short breaks.
Okay.
And it's amazing how much more you can get done when you actually work with intention
Right.
and build in regular breaks for your brain to kind of recharge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not just about like managing your time right.
Right.
It's also about managing your energy.
Okay.
The personal MBA highlights the importance of understanding your natural energy cycles.
Okay.
Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Right.
Structure your workday to capitalize on those peak productivity periods.
So if I'm most alert and creative first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
I should tackle my most challenging tasks then,
Yes,
rather than wasting that precious energy on like emails and meetings.
exactly. Work smarter, not harder,
I like it.
by aligning your workday with your natural rhythms.
Okay.
Now, beyond focus and energy management,
Mm-hmm.
the personal MBA also delves into the art of setting effective goals.
Okay.
And they're not talking about, those vague New Year's resolutions
Oh,
that
yeah.
fizzle out by February.
Right.
We're talking about setting what the book calls PICS goals.
PICS goals. Okay, I'm hooked. Break that down for
Okay,
you.
so PICS stands for positive, immediate, concrete, and specific.
Okay.
It's a framework for setting goals that are actually achievable.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of saying like, I want to be more productive,
Right, which is very vague.
which is so vague and overwhelming,
Yeah.
a PICS goal would be, I will finish writing a blog post outlined by lunchtime today.
So it's about making it actionable. Something you can actually visualize and break down into manageable steps.
Yep.
It's not enough to have a goal.
Right.
You need to have a clear path to get there.
Precisely. The personal MBA emphasizes that our brains are wired for action.
Okay.
When you set a PICS goal,
Mm-hmm.
you're essentially giving your brain a clear roadmap,
Right.
making it much more likely that you'll actually achieve what you set out to do.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about working effectively with ourselves,
Yeah.
mastering our focus, managing our energy,
Right.
and setting killer goals.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, business is all about people, right?
It is.
We're not just working in isolation.
Yeah.
How does the personal MBA approach this whole, like, working with others thing?
It emphasizes that business is fundamentally a human endeavor.
Okay.
It's about building relationships, understanding motivations,
Right.
and navigating those sometimes tricky interpersonal dynamics.
For sure.
And one of the most crucial aspects of that is trust.
Oh, for sure. Like that saying, people buy from people they like and trust.
Exactly.
But building trust in a business context,
Mm.
especially in this digital age where
Right.
everything's so fast-paced and impersonal,
Yeah, it can be tough.
it feels tougher than ever.
Yeah.
Any tips from the book on that front?
Yeah, so the personal MBA offers some really interesting insights here.
Okay.
For example, it encourages this counterintuitive approach called damaging admissions.
Damaging admissions. What?
I know it sounds crazy,
Yeah.
but sometimes admitting to a weakness or a potential downside
Okay.
can actually make you more trustworthy.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
It's not like shooting yourself in the foot.
Not necessarily. It's about being upfront and honest,
Okay.
even when it's not easy.
Okay.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you rather do business with someone who acknowledges their limitations
Yeah.
than someone who pretends to be perfect?
Yeah.
It shows humility and a willingness to be transparent,
Totally.
which are incredibly valuable traits.
That's a fascinating perspective. So you're saying vulnerability in a way can actually build trust.
It can.
It's about being authentic flaws and all.
Exactly. Another powerful trust-building tool is leveraging social proof,
Okay.
which we touched upon a little bit earlier.
Right. Testimonials, reviews, case studies,
Exactly.
those real-world examples from people who've already benefited from your product or service.
Precisely. We're social creatures.
Right.
And we're naturally drawn to things that others have already validated.
Yeah.
Think about how you choose a restaurant when you're traveling.
Totally.
You're more likely to trust the reviews on Yelp or TripAdvisor
Oh, 100%.
than you are like a fancy website or
Right.
brochure.
Yeah, a bunch of 5-star reviews from people raving about the food.
Exactly.
That's way more persuasive than any marketing campaign could ever be.
It's true.
Okay, so we've got honesty, we've got social proof.
Mm-hmm.
What other trust-building strategies does the book recommend?
Well, it also emphasizes the importance of establishing authority. And this doesn't mean being bossy or dictatorial.
Right.
It's about demonstrating expertise and credibility
Right.
in your field.
So walking the walk and talking the talk,
Exactly.
if you're a fitness coach, for example,
Yeah.
having a proven track record of helping people achieve incredible transformations
Right.
would speak volumes about your authority.
Exactly. It's about building a reputation that inspires confidence
Right.
and trust.
Yeah.
People are more likely to trust someone who has a deep understanding of their craft
Mm-hmm.
and a history of delivering results.
So it's not just about what you say,
Right.
it's about what you've done
Yeah.
and how you show up in the world.
Exactly.
It all ties back to that idea of authenticity we were talking about earlier.
Absolutely. Now, shifting gears a bit,
Okay.
the personal MBA
Hmm.
also stresses the importance of understanding systems.
Okay.
It argues that businesses, and really any complex endeavor,
Mm-hmm.
aren't just random collections of parts.
Right.
They're dynamic systems with interconnected elements.
Okay, systems thinking, I have to admit that term makes me feel a little intimidated.
Yeah.
Where do you even begin to wrap your head around that?
Well, the book offers a great starting point with Gall's law.
Okay.
This law basically states that complex systems that work
Mm-hmm.
are invariably found to have evolved from simpler systems that worked.
So instead of trying to create this like perfect, overly complicated system from
Yeah.
scratch,
Right.
it's better to start simple
Yeah.
and allow it to evolve organically.
Exactly.
Kind of like building a Lego masterpiece one brick at a time.
Exactly. You wouldn't try to build the Millennium Falcon
Right.
by gluing every single Lego brick together at once, would you?
No.
You start with a solid foundation,
Right.
and then you gradually add layers of complexity testing and refining along the way.
That makes a lot more sense. So you're not trying to create the perfect system from day one.
Right.
You're embracing that iterative mindset,
Yes.
constantly learning and adapting as you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And within any system,
Yeah.
there are bound to be bottlenecks or limiting factors that restrict overall performance.
Mm-hmm.
The personal MBA calls these constraints,
Okay.
and it dedicates a whole section to understanding and addressing them.
So how do you go about identifying those constraints?
Well-
Is it like searching for a needle in a haystack?
It can feel that way sometimes.
Right.
But the book provides a helpful framework called 5 Focusing Steps.
5 focusing steps. Okay.
It starts with identifying the constraint,
Mm-hmm.
the thing that's holding you back the most.
Okay.
Then you exploit that constraint,
Mm-hmm.
meaning you find ways to get the most out of it.
Okay, so find the bottleneck.
Yep.
And then squeeze as much efficiency out of it as possible.
Exactly.
What's next?
The next step is subordination,
Okay.
which means aligning all other processes to support the constraint.
Okay.
You don't want other parts of the system working against your efforts
Right.
to improve the bottleneck.
Oh.
Then you elevate the constraint,
Mm-hmm.
which might mean investing more resources
Okay.
or finding creative ways to increase its capacity.
Right.
And finally, you repeat the process
Okay.
with the next constraint you encounter.
So it's like this continuous cycle of improvement.
Exactly.
Always searching for the next bottleneck and finding ways to optimize the entire system.
Yes.
It's like a detective uncovering clues and solving a mystery one constraint at a time.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
And you know what else is crucial for any system,
What's that?
especially in the ever-changing world of business?
Hit me with it.
Feedback loops.
Okay.
They're essential for growth and adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
It's about constantly gathering data, analyzing performance,
Right.
and using that feedback to make adjustments.
So you're saying that even the most well-designed systems need regular checkups
They do.
and fine-tuning.
Precisely, think of it like driving a car.
Okay.
You don't just point the steering wheel in one direction and hope for the best.
Right.
You're constantly making small adjustments
Right.
based on the road conditions,
Yeah.
the traffic flow,
Yeah.
and feedback from the car itself.
Okay. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
But feedback can be overwhelming, can it?
It can be a lot.
How do you avoid getting lost in a sea of data?
That's where the personal MBA's emphasis on effective data analysis comes in.
Okay.
It's not enough to just collect data.
Right.
You need to know how to interpret it
Okay.
and extract meaningful insights.
So it's about separating the signal from the noise,
Exactly.
finding those golden nuggets of information that can
Mhm.
actually help you make better decisions.
Exactly. And one of the most powerful tools for doing that is segmentation,
Okay.
which involves dividing your data into meaningful groups.
So instead of looking at one big mass of data,
Right.
you break it down into smaller, more manageable chunks.
Exactly.
Give me an example of how that might work in a business context.
Okay, so let's say you own an online clothing store. Instead of just looking at overall sales figures,
Right.
you could segment your customers by demographics,
Mm-hmm.
purchase history,
Okay.
or browsing behavior.
Okay.
This would give you a much deeper understanding of who your customers are,
Sure.
what they want,
Right.
and how to better serve them.
So you could tailor your marketing campaigns,
Exactly.
product recommendations,
Yeah.
even your website design to
Mhm.
different customer segments.
Precisely.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's all about personalization.
Yeah, it's about personalizing the experience
Yeah,
and creating something that truly resonates with each individual.
you got it. And while data is incredibly valuable,
Yeah.
the personal MBA also reminds us to never lose sight of the human element.
Oh, I love that. So it's not just about crunching numbers
Right.
and analyzing spreadsheets.
Not just about that.
It's about understanding the stories behind those numbers,
Yeah.
the people and emotions that drive those data points.
Exactly. Data without empathy is just noise.
I love that.
It's about connecting the dots between those insights
Right.
and the human experience.
I love that data with empathy thing.
Yeah.
Such a powerful way to think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've covered understanding systems
Right.
and using data effectively.
Yeah.
But the personal MBA also dives into the nitty-gritty of working with others,
It does.
especially leading and managing teams.
Yep.
I'm curious to hear your take on this.
Well, the book really challenges that old school view of leadership as command and control.
Okay.
You know, that whole my way or the highway mentality.
Yeah, the stereotypical iron-fisted CEO barking orders.
Exactly. The personal MBA suggests that true leadership is less about wielding power
Okay.
and more about fostering collaboration
Mm-hmm.
and creating an environment where everyone feels valued
Like-
and empowered.
So it's more about inspiring people to do their best work
Yes.
rather than forcing them into it.
Precisely.
Mm.
And one of the keys to that is understanding this concept of comparative advantage.
Okay, comparative advantage. Ah, that sounds intriguing. Break it down for me.
Okay, so it's the idea that even if you're good at everything,
Mm-hmm.
it's still more efficient to focus on your strengths
Okay.
and delegate tasks that others are better suited for.
Okay.
Think about it like this.
Okay.
Imagine you're a one-person marketing team.
Okay.
You might be decent at writing blog posts,
Yeah.
designing graphics, and
Right.
managing social media.
Right.
But what if you're an amazing writer
Okay.
and just so-so at the rest?
It would make sense to focus on the writing
Exactly.
and maybe outsource the design and social media management to
Yeah.
people who specialize in those areas.
Exactly. You're leveraging everyone's strengths
Right.
to create a more efficient and effective team.
Totally.
It's like assembling a dream team
I love it.
where each member brings their unique superpower to the table.
I love that analogy. Superpower marketing.
There you go.
It makes so much sense. Instead of spreading yourself thin,
Right.
trying to do everything yourself,
Yeah.
you focus on what you're best at
Mm-hmm.
and surround yourself with people who can fill in the gaps.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that none of us can do it all alone.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
In fact, it's more than okay.
Right.
It's the key to
Ooh.
achieving extraordinary results.
I like it.
Now, another aspect of working with others
Mm-hmm.
is understanding how to motivate and influence them.
For sure. But that always feels like a bit of a minefield.
It can be.
Everyone's different.
Right.
What works on one person might not work on another.
Exactly.
Any insights from the personal MBA on that front?
Yeah, so it emphasizes that motivation shouldn't feel like pushing a boulder uphill.
Okay.
Shouldn't be about coercion or manipulation.
Okay.
It's about creating an environment where people are intrinsically motivated,
Right.
where they feel valued, respected,
Mhm.
and inspired to do their best work.
So how do you create that kind of environment?
Okay.
Give me some actionable tips.
Well, one powerful technique is to provide a clear why.
Okay.
People are far more likely to get on board with a task or a project
Mm-hmm.
if they understand the purpose behind it,
Okay.
how it contributes to the bigger picture.
So it's about connecting those individual tasks to a shared vision.
Yeah.
Giving people a sense of purpose and belonging.
Exactly. When people feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves,
Right.
when they understand how their work contributes to a meaningful goal,
Yeah,
they're naturally more engaged and motivated.
totally.
Another crucial aspect of influencing others is understanding social signals.
Okay, social signals.
Yeah.
We touched upon that earlier in the context of building trust.
We did.
Right. But social signals play a role in influencing behavior as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Remember, we're social creatures.
Right.
We're constantly picking up on subtle cues from others,
Yeah.
body language,
Yep.
tone of voice,
Mhm.
facial expressions.
Yeah.
These signals can either reinforce or undermine our attempts to influence.
Totally. So if I'm trying to rally my team around a new project,
Yeah.
but my body language screams, I'm not even sure about this.
Right.
They're going to pick up on that dissonance,
Exactly.
and it's going to impact their enthusiasm.
Precisely, our nonverbal communication speaks volumes,
Right.
even if we're not saying a word.
It's so true.
The personal MBA encourages us to be mindful of our social signals,
Okay.
to be sure they're aligned with the message we're trying to convey.
That's such an important reminder.
Yeah.
It's not just about what we say, it's
Yeah.
about how we say it,
Yeah.
and even what our body language is saying. So
Right.
we've got the why, we've
Right.
got social signals.
Right.
Anything else we should have in our influencing toolkit?
Well, the personal MBA also reminds us of the power of social proof,
Okay.
which we discussed earlier
Mm-hmm.
in the context of building trust.
Right.
But it's also a powerful tool for influencing behavior.
Right. We talked about how testimonials and reviews can build trust.
Exactly.
But how does that translate to influencing actions?
Well, let's say you're trying to encourage your team to adopt a new productivity system.
Okay.
Instead of just telling them to do it,
Mm-hmm.
you could highlight how other successful teams have benefited from implementing a similar system.
Okay.
People are more likely to be persuaded by evidence and real-world examples
All right.
than by abstract ideas or mandates.
So it's about showing, not just telling.
Exactly.
How has this worked for others?
Right.
What kind of results have they seen?
Exactly.
That makes perfect sense.
And finally, the book emphasizes the importance of authority,
Okay.
which we've also touched upon before.
Right.
People are more likely to be influenced by those they perceive as experts or leaders in their field.
Right. But it's not about bossing people around
Exactly.
or throwing your weight around.
No.
True authority is earned, not demanded.
The personal MBA suggests that genuine authority stems from a combination of competence,
Okay.
integrity, and a proven track record of success.
Okay.
When you consistently deliver results,
Right.
act with integrity,
Yeah.
and demonstrate a deep understanding of your field,
Right.
people naturally look to you for guidance and inspiration.
So it's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly.
It's about being the kind of leader that people want to follow, not have to follow.
Absolutely. Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into the personal MBA,
Okay.
I wanted to touch upon one more thing that really resonated with me.
Okay.
The importance of embracing a mindset of continuous learning.
Yes, I love that the book really emphasizes that learning doesn't stop when you finish school
No.
or even when you feel like you've made it.
Exactly.
It's an ongoing journey of exploration and growth.
The personal MBA is like a toolbox
Okay.
filled with practical tools and frameworks that you can use to navigate the complexities of business and life.
Right.
But it's up to you to keep learning,
Right.
keep experimenting,
Yeah.
and keep refining your approach.
It's so true. It's about embracing a growth mindset.
Yes.
Always seeking new knowledge, new perspectives,
Yeah.
and new ways of doing things.
Absolutely. And the beauty of it is that the more you learn,
Yeah.
the more you realize how much more there is to learn.
It's so true.
It's a lifelong adventure of discovery.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground today.
Yeah.
From the 5 business fundamentals
Yeah.
to the importance of working effectively with yourself and others.
Mm-hmm.
The personal MBA offers a wealth of practical wisdom that can be applied to any area of life, not just business.
Absolutely. It's a book that I highly recommend to anyone who's looking to level up their skills, their mindset, and their life.
And as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
I want to leave you with this thought.
Okay.
What's one principle or strategy from the personal MBA that really resonated with you?
Mm-hmm.
What's one thing you can start implementing today to make a positive impact on your life or your work? Yeah.
Think about it, reflect on it, and most importantly, take action.
That's fantastic advice. Remember, knowledge without action is like a book on a shelf.
It's so true.
It's only when we apply what we learn
Right.
that we truly unlock our potential.
So true. Well, thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the personal MBA.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure exploring these powerful ideas with you.
The pleasure was all mine. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep striving for excellence.